so I'm used to talking into a mic. Is there anybody who can't hear me right now? Excellent. You guys may have to talk closer. We'll have to see how the volume goes when you're talking. So I'm going to give you each a minute to start, and then it'll be 40 seconds for the questions as we go along. And if you cannot hear, especially me, just say something, interrupt me. It's okay. It won't bother me at all. For them, I don't know, wait till they're done. We'll try to figure it out. Brian Cole, he's a newcomer. He's the first time running for office for District 4.
Thank you, Andrew, and thank you to the Women for Responsible Legislation for hosting this event. Before I tell you anything about myself, thank you to my wife and my friends and family and the neighbors and the members of this community who have come out today. Thank you for caring. Thank you for taking the time to be here today. I'd also like to thank the Pensacola police officers and the Pensacola firefighters who have endorsed me to be your next city councilman. I'm not trying to start a political career. I'm not from the political world. I'm running because I want to bring practical problem solving to City Hall. I want to be the representative who answers the phone, who works on the problems that you, members of the community, see and find every day. I want Pensacola to be a city where families feel safe. I want it to be a place where young people can find opportunity, neighborhoods are protected, and taxpayer dollars are used responsibly. I would be honored to earn their vote.
I think as a logistical matter, if everybody just stays seated, that'll probably work a little bit better, just for especially the video and everybody else. I know it's a formality. Boyce, who ran for District 4 County Commission 8 years ago. Boyce, White.
Thank you. And also, is this on?
It is.
Turn it
Get
off.
the lights on, there you go.
There we go. Here we go. I want to thank Barbara also for calling me and asking me to participate in this forum, and also for the Women for Responsible Legislation. It's an honor to be here before you all today. I was trying to represent District 4 8 years ago, and there were 6 of us in that race on the Republican side, if you all recall, and it didn't turn out the way I wanted. I didn't really see myself doing this again. I was enjoying the private life, but I thought Jared was doing a fantastic job. We are at a critical juncture right now, especially with the tax reform that we're looking at for property taxes. I don't think we need an experienced leadership right now. We need somebody at the helm who can actually maintain and keep the city heading in a positive direction. So that's the reason I'm running. I didn't really seek this position, but I would be honored to serve. Thank you so much. My name is Boyce White, and I'd love to have your vote.
Sorry about that. Okay, I'll do my best to rotate who goes first in both brackets, so to speak. So we'll start at the end with you, Boyce. First question, this is a question the Women for Responsible Legislation always asks. What are your personal standards? How do you base your values and make decisions? 40 seconds.
Okay, I am a 3-time elder at Trinity Presbyterian Church, and I feel like my Christian values are the source of what I look for and guidance to making decisions. Now, when it comes to city politics and where I want to take things, I have an undergrad in mathematics from the Citadel and an MBA, so I understand processes. I'm also currently your City of Pensacola Zoning Board of Adjustments chairman, and so I understand how administration works, and I feel like that's going to be a true asset for District 4 to try and navigate any legislative issues that we need going forward. I have my 40 seconds.
You're good. Just done.
Okay, thank you.
Brian, same question. And if you ever, I won't repeat the question every time, but if you need me to, feel free to ask for it.
Would you mind repeating the question?
What's your personal standards, your personal values? Where do they come from? How do you make decisions?
Fantastic. My faith is something that I hold very dearly to my heart. I am also a Christian. I do not believe that we are supposed to be a community that is forcing that. I want to be a leader for my Jewish friends. I want to be a leader for my friends who don't have faith. I believe our forefathers in the Constitution wrote a future letter to us. We do not demand God be somewhere. That's not how this works. I base my values on the upbringing that I have. I was raised by very honest people. My father was a volunteer firefighter, led me into being a volunteer firefighter. I've loved this community. I've grown up in this community. I've got it there. Thank you.
Let's imagine that you have a situation where your personal opinion about what should be done on any matter, doesn't matter what the issue is at odds with what you believe the majority of your district thinks, or with what the majority of the city thinks. Those are two different things. Do you believe it's your job to do what you think is right, or do you believe that it's your job as a city council member to do what the majority of your district or the majority of the city thinks is right? Let's start with you, Sharon. Voice at this end. Same question. When you disagree with your constituents, how do you decide what to do?
Well, I do agree with Sherry. It is important to kind of let people know why you're making the decision. And certainly your constituents elected you to represent them, but they also elected you for your values and what you stand for. And if you go in there and just start going with a public opinion, that's not, hopefully, the reason you ran for that position. And so you got to stick to your convictions. But definitely, I agree with Sherry that I think it's, the constituents are deserved an explanation as to why you voted the way you did.
Brian, same question.
In this hypothetical, we're talking about a situation where the constituents have come forward, you, the neighbors, the community, you've come forward and you said, Brian, we don't like this. This doesn't work for us. I represent you. If 80% of my constituents have come forward and shared with me, we don't want X, we don't want this in our community, we think it is bad, we see a problem coming with this, my job is to listen to that. Now, there are, of course, going to be situations where facts need to be shared. Hey, we've only gotten half of the story out there. We haven't explained fully what's going on. And that's where transparent governance is important. We need to be talking constantly about what's going on. Thank you.
City council is a full-time plus job with a part-time minus pay. How do you plan to balance whatever demands are going on in your life, whether it's professional or family or anything else, with the almost endless demands people put on you in this job? Let's start with you, Brian.
At one point in my life, I was managing construction projects all over the southeast after Hurricane Sally. I was volunteering at a fire station. I was volunteering as a youth sports coach. I was involved with various clubs and other parts of the community. This is just another day at the office for me. Being here, working, doing what's right, I have absolutely no fear that this is going to be something that I can handle. I am so excited at the opportunity to actually make a difference in this community. And I will be putting a lot of passion into this. I apologize to everybody that knows me personally and has had to listen to all of the ideas, but thank you.
Royce?
Well, currently, as I mentioned, the chairman of the Zoning Board of Adjustments, which ends up taking about 15 to 20 hours a month. And that right there will free that up for city council. And currently my job, I'm director of business development, but they support me doing this position, and my phone will always be accessible. I spend a lot of time on the road, windshield time, so that's certainly a lot of time to return calls, get back with my constituents, and hear what their opinions are and how they feel about issues. Thank you.
Talk to me about your service to the community, not as either a paid official or in your business capacity, but in your volunteer work. What's your track record as volunteering for the community? Let's start at this end with Boyce.
Okay, I was your East Hill Neighborhood Association president for a year, but also I served on that board for another 3 years prior to that. I've been the president of the Citadel Alumni Association since 2011. I'm Sand Dollar Homeowner Association president, and also, like I said, I'm a 3-time elder at Trinity Presbyterian Church. And also, I started an organization here in Pensacola, a fraternal organization that actually has a $150,000 annual budget and 300 guys in there. And I started that 26 years ago, and I still serve in advisory capacity for that. Also, I am a youth advisor at Trinity, and I love serving this community.
Brian? And by the way, I know all these people on a first name basis, so that's what I'm accustomed to. I'm sorry, I know I'm not a Southerner at heart, so if that doesn't offend anybody, I apologize. It's just, I know them all, so that's how I talk to them.
Andrew, because of the age difference, I have no problem with you. We'll start chronologically. When I was a child, Hurricane Ivan hit. I know, again, aging myself here. And I started dragging limbs and helping neighbors clear yards. I grew up on a street with a lot of elderly people, and they couldn't park their cars. When I was in high school, I was in ROTC, and with that came a lot of service. I volunteered with the Special Olympics that were hosted at Washington High School. After that, avoiding professional stuff, volunteer firefighter, youth sports coach. I'm involved with Rotary. I'm involved with Toastmasters. I'm involved with a number of other smaller organizations. I'm constantly in the community. I probably need to get a resume out here to actually repeat it all to you. Thank you.
How well do you think the current government of Pensacola is functioning? Whether you want to talk about relationships between the council and the mayor, agencies, responsiveness to citizens, answer however you want, but how well do you think that the current government is functioning? When we start at this end, Brian, you get to go first.
I only get 40 seconds for this?
40 seconds. Pick your targets.
All right. I'm gonna have to talk about the city's financial responsibility. We have a bad habit in the city of spending money and not having a plan on what it's going to cost to do that thing again in 10 or 15 or 20 years. Renewal costs are something that we just keep messing up on. And I think this is something that's systemic to how the city government runs. It survives different councils. I just heard Councilman Baer have a big exhale when I said that, because he knows that's true. This is something that has lasted a very long time. We need systems in place that prevent those problems from happening year after year.
Boyce, how well is the government functioning?
I think city government is functioning decently well, and I think DC Reeves has actually got us on a pretty good course. I do think that our city-county communications are not where they should be. We used to actually have relationships and meetings between the county commissioners and the city council, and that doesn't seem to exist anymore. Once elected, I plan on implementing some minimum quarterly meetings so that we are all traveling and focused in the same direction.
I'll give you a minute for this one, particularly because a lot of details matter. We are facing a very substantial change to our revenues if the property tax amendment passes. We are also facing a fairly substantial challenge of local option sales tax potentially, but the referendum particularly on property taxes, something like 74% of houses in Pensacola would no longer pay property tax. Do you support the amendment as a voter, as a constituent? And what will you do if it passes to deal with the budgetary realities? Royce, at this end, do you support the referendum? What will you do to deal with it if it passes?
As a Republican, I will say I probably wouldn't vote for it because of the government, once they put a tax in, it never goes away. This is one of the first times we're going to see a tax go away. I will say it accounts for 35% of our operating budget, and so that is really scary, and it is a huge nut. I do feel like that there are other recourses that we could look at, like title transfer tax. Anytime a property is sold, we can actually attach a tax to that as well to start generating some local taxes. So I'm looking at being elected and being hit with this scares me. I gotta be honest with you. But as a Republican, I am all about less taxes. Rarely do we ever actually see a tax come down. So I would support it, and I would look at, like education was a classic example. Once we put the lottery in place, they stopped funding education. We'll find a way to make that money up. Thank you.
Brian, do you support the referendum, and what will you do if it passes? Let's hold our applause for after, please. Thank you.
I can completely sympathize with how we've gotten here. As a citizen, you watch on the news, $4-point-something million spent to reimagine Halifax, and you have to scratch your head and wonder, why is my park not being taken care of? Why are these issues over here? You know what? I think government needs less money. I completely understand how we have gotten here. This is a very serious bill. As it's currently written, I think it's too aggressive. I think it's too fast. We are going to have to end up making cuts somewhere. We're gonna have to start reviewing every major expense. What do we have going out? What can we postpone? What can we scale back? What can we reduce or eliminate? We're gonna have to start really tightening the belt. I'm nervous. Back in 2010, we laid off something like 200 city employees. We still haven't gotten back to where we were in 2010, and here we are with another potential major cut. There's gonna be some challenges with this.
You can accomplish 2 things in your 4-year term. Any 2 things, whatever you pick, tell me what are the 2 things and why that's what you want to accomplish, and yes, I'm going back to 40 seconds. Start with you, Brian.
Number 1 is balancing the budget. The city has to plan for long-term expenses. If you have a roof, you know that roof's got to be replaced every 20 years. The smart person saves a little bit of money every year for 20 years, right? The city doesn't do that. They fail to do that in almost every single category and across every single department. That's why you kind of have the feeling that the city's a day late and $1 short to handling that issue down the street from your house. We have to address that first. Following that, the second biggest thing that I think the city has an opportunity to do, I'm running out of time already, is we need to very seriously examine our current building department and how we are trying to restore and rebuild parts of our community. Thank you.
Boyce?
One of my biggest topics, or talking points when I go out there is economic development. And I feel like we have a lot of restrictions, especially maybe with the LD, Land Development Code, the LDC, as far as height restrictions that we don't even utilize. We can go up to 150 feet. So I really actually want to try and look at more urban infill with downtown, and so we could actually maybe have a better business tax base. So I want to look at the LDC, and then also, I'm running out of time too quick. I didn't get to my second one.
Charles?
Okay, I just have to make one quick correction. The voice mentioned about education and lottery funding it. That's the only part of your property tax you will still pay is what's for education. So lottery is not eliminated that. The 2 things that I want to accomplish.
And Boyce, a curfew is being discussed right now. It's likely to be proposed by either the mayor or by the city council. Do you support a curfew for minors in the city council?
My dad has always said that actually anything that happens after 12 p.m. or 12 a.m. is probably doesn't need to happen. So yes, I would support a curfew. Now I will go back to the second thing that I was interested in putting back in place is trash twice a week. It seems like we certainly have some flies that are getting, there's so many more flies in Pensacola right now because I feel like the trash cans are just not getting empty fast enough, so I'd like to get back to twice a week. Okay, thank you.
Brian, do you support the idea of a curfew for minors?
So I remember being 16 and going downtown. I wasn't out at 1 a.m. usually, and I never thought I'd get shot. 16-year-olds been shot in this community at 16. I remember going downtown at 19, and I didn't think I'd lose my life going downtown. There's a very serious problems that we have inside of the community. I don't think a curfew by itself solves the problem. I'm not opposed to a curfew. We already have a curfew for driving. You say, hey, if you're under 18, you're not supposed to drive between 1 and 5 a.m. I have absolutely no problem with extending that into the downtown entertainment district. That makes great sense, but it's not going to solve the problems that we have right now.
Technology issues and law enforcement have been a very popular topic at city council meetings recently. Tell me whether you support the current red light cameras. Tell me whether you support PPD using license plate readers, particularly known as flock, but they don't have to. Ryan?
So I also got a red light ticket, Ms. Myers, so you got that in common. The reason why we put the red light cameras out there was because PPD was responding to accidents and calls to several intersections constantly. And it's impossible in those 8-lane intersecting roads to put a police officer there at all times. It's unreasonable. The red light cameras are there as a deterrent. I support that. That makes sense. And I think everybody in here and anybody I've talked to about this would agree, generally, we want things that make it easier for law enforcement to do their job.
No.
No. Flock is a little bit different. Oh, okay.
Voice, red light cameras and flock cameras or license plate readers.
Well, first of all, a camera doesn't lie. So you can capture that image and know exactly, well, in context, what was going on. There's a lot of misinformation, I think, out there about the flock. I know the PPD officer who's in charge of that right now, who allows information to either be disseminated or not be disseminated. And we have a lot of control over that. And apparently, social media doesn't seem to let that information get out, that we can control what information is shared with other agencies. So if Flock helps us find a kid, an Amber Alert, I don't have a problem with it, but we do control that information.
It came up a little bit earlier, but this is an important topic for the community, affordable housing, especially for workforce level earners. Do you think the city should be doing anything different with regards to this challenge? Boyce, does the city do anything different for affordable housing?
We have a supply and demand issue. There's just not enough really supply. And I think addressing the LDC, the Land Development Code, for where housing can be done in urban infill will certainly help that. Also, when I talk about experience, I have relationships at the state and federal level. We can look at outside money to bring in and other grants to help offset some of the housing costs, building costs, and where we're looking at doing it. Certainly at the Baptist site would be an opportunity that we can actually look at getting some federal funds to really help offset the cost for that and make a affordable housing there.
Brian?
Government does not make jobs. Government does not build houses. People make jobs. Businesses make jobs. People build houses. We have to make it easy for people to fix up and restore and bring houses back into the supply chain. One of the things my opponents talked about a couple times is the Land Development Code. Still, in our current Land Development Code, you cannot convert a single family house into a 2-family house. You can put an additional dwelling unit in the backyard. You can add a mother-in-law suite. You have some things, but it's not set up to add more housing. It's not ideal. The government needs to get out of the way. We need to make it convenient for people who want to invest in the community to do so. Thank you.
New Palafox also has come up at least briefly already. Your thoughts on the price, the project, whether that was the right use of that money? Let's start at the other. Brian?
So Charles already stole my thunder. Florida Power and Light paid a huge chunk of this. There were stormwater upgrades that were made. There were disability upgrades that were made for people who were wheelchair or walker bound. I'm on board with all of these things, especially when we want our downtown to be a walkable, enjoyable space. I do think we went a little extravagant. I think we spent a little too much on this particular project. I think we could have accomplished a lot more with the dollars that were spent there on other issues, and that's really the heartbreaking part of it, is the missed opportunity cost.
Boyce?
I think this was kind of sold as a beautification project, but actually we had so much really other stuff that was going on down there with FPL, and we upgraded stormwater that hadn't been done since 1960. So when I'm out there touting for economic development, when you want to make things happen downtown, and that is our signature, people are looking at that and thinking, is this an area where I want to move? I think we planned for the future, and I thought things were well spent, and I think it looks fantastic, and I'm on board with everything they did.
Sticking with downtown, parking, as was just mentioned, is one thing a lot of people are concerned about. Are you satisfied with the current, not right now, because obviously Palafox has totally disrupted parking, but when that's all done, are you satisfied with the way parking is being managed? How would you do it differently or the same? Start with you, boys.
Currently, the only public parking lot that we have downtown is on West Jefferson, and I think it is a waste that the one right in front of the courthouse is closed on weekends and not accessible to people for the Blue Wahoos games and things like that. I don't like the relationship we have with the company out of New Orleans and the red zones. I think that parking has made it inconvenient and even for people who want to come downtown, they're just not happy. And I don't like, the blue zones are priced reasonable. I think we need to get the red zones actually priced reasonable as well. I will say actually, if you get a ticket in those, you don't have to pay it.
Brian?
I was blown away by the number of people when I started knocking on doors and I started actually going out in the community who said that downtown parking was their number one concern. Now, I had my own problems with it. I thought it was frustrating. You show up downtown trying to find some place to park and you just can't find an available spot. It drove me nuts. But it's a constant issue. And the more you look at how we're moving our downtown forward, we want it to be this walkable corridor. We want it to be something that people can enjoy. That is in direct conflict with lots and lots and lots of parking. You can't really have both. We need some type of additional parking. We definitely need to look at how we can move people around during events. We need the trolley service, we need some type of tram. We have to make it work with the goals that we have for health lots.
Trees. How well is the current set of ordinances around tree canopy, the protection of heritage trees, and tree planting trust fund? Is it working well? Does it need to be changed? I don't know who's gone last most recently. I think we'll go through Brian. Go ahead.
It's impossible to sit here and say that the tree ordinance is great when I have not met a single person happy with it. The homeowners who feel like it is infringing on their ability to take one limb down off of their house, like I can't cut that one limb, it's over my roof, what happens if it falls? The concerns that people have of doing anything at all, and then at the same time, we have people who are watching as beautiful trees are taken down when there were alternatives, there were ways around it. I don't know what the answer is, how we make a tree ordinance that satisfies both sides, property rights and the preservation of what beautiful trees we do have in the community. I think it's going to take some real effort. Thank you.
Boys?
All right, as the Zoning Board of Adjustments Chair, we started addressing these. They came before our board, and we really actually needed the city arborist to get back on top of this. And I agree with Charles in the fact that this probably needs to be a department that's better funded so we can actually identify whether or not a tree is truly sick or they're just actually throwing it out there to cut down a tree. I love trees. I would love to do everything we can to protect them. And I also would support actually a greater fine because some of these builders would rather just cut down the tree and pay the fine and not deal with it. So if we made the fine greater, I think that would actually help in that capacity. Thank you.
Oh, wait, I'm not sure what's, all good? No, very good. The city's got a lot of parks. We also have a lot of infrastructure in those parks. It's expensive to maintain, like play structures are very expensive, $250,000 to $500,000 a piece usually to replace. Do we have too many parks with too much cost? Is it just right? Should we have more, fewer? Tell me your thoughts in reverse order, boys.
Okay, actually, I'm passionate about the parks. I grew up in Cordova Park right near Cowboy Park, and actually there's some issues with Cowboy Park right now. When I was president of the East Hill Neighborhood Association, we actually raised $15,000 by selling a neighborhood guide. Then I went to our councilwoman for one of our parks and said, hey, listen, the basketball goals need to be restriped and the goals need to be replaced. We've actually gotten it cost out. It's going to cost $3,000. We've got $1,500 we match from discretionary funds. Pam Childers will allow us to do that. I plan on doing that and going around to CNAP to all the meetings and letting them know that it's very responsible that if the citizens are engaged, they will actually take care of the parks a lot better. And if they raise money, we will match it. Thank you.
Brian?
We have so many beautiful and amazing parks, and this is literally one of the top 4 items that I have been trying to address and I've been writing about and I've been speaking on. The city does not do a good job of planning long-term. At Cowboy Park, we were just talking about, they had slides broken for almost a year. I mean, it was terrible, right? We're having broken equipment as opposed to having good working equipment, or maybe we need slightly smaller playground equipment going forward. I don't like it when I look at my parks and I see water fountains that don't work, I see soccer nets that are torn up, I see damage that's not being repaired. We have to be very conscious about how long or how much it costs and how long this equipment lasts, and make a plan.
Sharon?
Well, the city does have a lot of parks. However, in District 2 and Uptown, we only have, I think it's about 8 parks. And they're not fancy. And so there is a discrepancy in funding for our parks. So that's something that greatly concerns me, is that District 2 does not have we almost had a resource center. When I left council, there was $1 million in that line item. And so I do a lot of work. I go to all the park and rec meetings, and I have been trying to get a special needs park built at Tippin Park. And it is going to be expensive, but it will be the only park in the city that's accessible for children with disabilities.
Charles?
Yeah, as Sherry said, out of the 93, 94 parks that we asked, we have 8. So we don't have a lot. They're definitely in need of some TLC. Some of the neighborhood associations don't necessarily want anything done in their parks right now. The best I can do as a council member is provide some funding. We'd like to get some disc golf going in some different parks and things, but that's limited, the amount of discretionary funds we can spend on that. So yes, it's a balancing act. It's local option sales tax is the main way we fund the park improvements, and that's going to kind of dry up unless we can get another allocation here coming soon, unless people vote to continue that. I'm definitely in favor of doing something at Tippin Park. There's $400,000 out there, and I don't know how the mayor wants to spend that right now.
Another easy one, homelessness. What would you like to see the city do differently, if anything, to address the problem of homelessness? And I want to focus particularly on the social service side, not the panhandling issue. I think of those kind of as separable issues. So just dealing with the fact of unhoused people, however you want to address that. Let's start with you, Sharon.
Thank you. So I've done a lot of work with the homeless on many different levels. But getting back to the question you asked, so the truth of the matter is, let's look at who's homeless. So a lot of people who are homeless are people with disabilities. And I don't care how much money you throw at a shelter, and we've thrown a lot of money at shelters. I could not get people with disabilities into those shelters. And the other thing I found is that a lot of hospitals are releasing people illegally who have disabilities and have nowhere to go, and they end up on the street.
Charles?
There's not a lot government can do in the social services side. That's why there's organizations that do this. We have to work with them, support them. I think we need to work towards getting a low barrier shelter that people can get into. We don't have a lot of shelter space right now, and so I think that's the best we can do is work towards that goal. But again, the city's not the organization that's going to fix this. We have to work with the private sector, with nonprofits to be able to do it.
What, same question on the social service side. What, if anything, should the city do differently to address the problem of homelessness or unhoused people?
Well, I completely agree with Charles on that. It's going to have to come from a little bit more of the private sector. And Lakeview, we have a great working relationship with them because a lot of the homeless is actually more a mental health issue in certain issues or instances as well. This is not a job that the PPD is equipped to handle, and so we need to actually remove this from PPD and look at more into the social services, and then also look at outside funding to help Lakeview and help these mental health counselors to get these people to where they understand what their situation is, and there are opportunities for hope and improvement.
Right?
40 seconds to solve homelessness.
Yeah. Well, only the homelessness part of it, not the panhandle.
35 minutes.
Running out of time. So there's some really scary numbers, and I'm going to share those with you right now. There are 1,900 homeless kids, according to the school board. That's 1,900 homeless kids. Our continuum of care, Opening Doors Northwest Florida, reported roughly 1,200 homeless in total during their point in time survey. So we have a problem. Now, homeless kids aren't there because they have a mental health problem. They aren't there usually because of some type of other criminal or drug or some other kind of problem. They're there for a litany of reasons. We need homelessness to be rare, brief, and non-recurring. There are people who are living out of cars, who are genuinely trying to make it work. Affordable housing and economic development are paths forward to help them. Better jobs, better opportunities for them to get shelter.
The other half of this problem, the panhandling slice of it, the public perception issue. Again, do you think anything needs to be done differently by the city with regards to panhandling or public presence on streets? However you want to phrase that. Let's start in reverse order. Brian?
I do get more than 40 seconds to talk about homelessness. Yippee. So the panhandling thing is something that's very challenging. We have parts of this community where people don't feel safe to go because they see a character there that makes them uncomfortable. They see somebody and they're struggling, maybe with a mental health issue, maybe with some type of addiction. Maybe they were coming in, knocking on your window and asking for $1. I believe we have an adequate amount of shelters, we have an adequate amount of resources to connect those people. What we're missing is the outreach, the parts of this community that go in and make contact with them to try and bring them into the fold and try and bring them out of homelessness.
I believe the panhandling is an education issue. I agree with Brian. We do actually have a lot of opportunities for people that are actually in need. United Ministries is a great one. And so if we actually educated the citizens on where the people can go and cut off the supply, I think the supply meaning the money coming in, I think the demand would go away. And that's the easiest solution. We could certainly pass ordinances, but where do you find them? And you can't get blood from a turnip, so that's not really the answer.
If you had to pick a particular, well, actually, let me switch. Recycling and sanitation, again, has already come up briefly. Are you satisfied with the current situation with recycling and sanitation? Are there any changes that you would like to make to that program or that cluster of programs? Let's start in reverse. Actually, let's start with this end. Brian, you can go first.
So I've been going to every single city council meeting, every single CRA meeting, and every agenda meeting this year. And this is an issue that has been nonstop recurring. We have been talking about recycling. We've been talking about the issues with sanitation. We really need to get back to twice a week garbage pickup. The flies are terrible. That's a fact. And that's going to have to be something that we solve in how sanitation works. Sanitation is an enterprise, so that means that the fee they charge, the money they generate stays in that department. It's not just something we can supplement from the general fund. It's a little bit of how the city runs it.
Points, changes or improvements, or it's good right now, sanitation, recycling?
I've already said I think we need to go back to twice a week trash. Recycling, right there on Summit, I was disappointed that we closed that down, but I certainly understand that when people are dropping off couches, that lowers the efficacy of the ability to recycle. And a simple $40 trail cam could have certainly captured, when we talk about flock cameras and things like that, pictures don't lie, we can actually capture who actually are the violators and maybe get Summit recycling restored. The bigger question is, where are we selling this recycling? Where are we getting rid of it? And if it's going to be cost effective. I don't think citizens should have to pay for trash cans for recycling.
Is there any service in the city of Pensacola that you think needs to be improved, should be improved? Pick and choose whatever it is. Pick a part of the city of Pensacola operations that you think needs to be done better. And if they're all doing great, you can say that. Start with Boyce, same question. Any department you particularly want to reform or improve?
I'm going to be brief on this. It's parking downtown. I think we need to figure out a way to maybe pull more of that in-house and actually use it as a tax revenue. But one of the things I do want to talk about for District 4 City Council, and one of the things I do want to accomplish, is putting in a blinking crosswalk at Piedmont and Summit for kids that are trying to get over to the dog park, over to the Vickery Center, or even Roger Scott. People are flying down there. I know Jared Moore wanted to try and take that down to 2 lanes. I don't think that's reasonable for traffic flow, but I do think that, like out on the beach, a blinking crosswalk that would require people to stop if people are in there. I really want to do that for the citizens of District 4. Thank you.
Brian?
So there are problems in every single department. You go talk to somebody from Public Works, they'll tell you about how understaffed they are, under-resourced they are, how they're falling behind on maintenance for stormwater projects. You go and talk to somebody at the building department, you can talk to any building inspector. How's your schedule? It's nonstop every single day, back to back to back to back to back. The responsibility of city council is to budget, is to set the city up so that all these different branches, all these different departments can be successful. We don't just have a single department that more than any other department is struggling. Every single department is struggling. I think the biggest opportunity is in the building department directly. I think that is a department that could use a lot of resources, that could help people fix their homes and help people get back.
The library's become a controversy recently. The relationship between the city and the county, who's responsible, who has the authority. Say whatever you want to say about the city's role with the library system. Again, we'll go in reverse order. Brian, you get to go first.
I love libraries. Take my girls to the library probably once a week at least. We bounce between Tryon Branch and this one, typically our 2 favorites. They've got a much better kids section here than Tryon, sorry. The city has in my opinion, a very small play in this. We select somebody for the library's board of governance. That's our duty. And I think the city's responsibility is to make sure that we are picking somebody for that board that does the best that they can. What's going on over at the county, that is the county's problem to solve.
Points, same question.
I love Libby. I don't know if anybody uses that or not. It's actually where you can get books on CD and download them. I spend a lot of time in my car because we have 8 offices around the area, so I could mention that a lot of windshield time. I love utilizing the library, but I agree with Brian. It's a county issue, and I'm sorry that actually it seems like it's gotten so dirty because we have enough dirty politics going on in Pensacola, and I think that we need to be a little bit more civil. And I am frustrated with politics, and I think this comes down from the top down at the national level, state level, and now down to the city level. People just want to seem to be mad at each other. So we need to get out of the pettiness and get to the focus of governing. Thank you.
I can't remember who went first last time. That is the extent of my particular topic questions. It's your chance to wrap up. So I'm going to give you 90 seconds each to say anything you want to say as a closing argument. We'll go in reverse order of the opening statements. Start with you on this end. Boyce?
Andrew, I want to thank you for holding this forum for us, or actually moderating it, the Women for Responsible Legislation, for having us. I think it's been a great forum, been very educational. Whoever submitted the questions, I thought they were great questions. I really enjoy the campaign trail. I enjoy getting out there, going door to door. I've knocked on, we have basically 3,500 doors, or 3,600 doors in the District 4 area, and going door to door is something that I've blast doing. I'm currently at about 3,360. So there's still some more people I want to meet, but I love hearing what y'all have to say. Y'all have my cell phone. I would enjoy y'all reaching out to me directly for any concerns that you have, so that actually, when elected, I can actually voice those for District 4. It's been a great process. Actually, I've enjoyed meeting Brian on this campaign trail, and all the other elected officials. But I will say that with my experience, we are at a critical juncture for City Council, and to move forward, I think you need somebody with experience. My bandwidth, I have relationships at the state level and the federal level. Going to the Citadel, Nancy Mace was a strong relationship. So we can get outside funds for our area so that it's not all a burden on our taxpayers. Thank you.
Minute and a half, Brian?
Thank you again for the opportunity to be here. All of you who have attended, sat through these questions, not having the chance to answer them. I know it's probably eating a few people alive. I've got something great to say to that. For too long, city government's not done enough long-term planning for maintenance, renewal, basic public needs. We see it in deferred building maintenance. We see it in public safety. We see it in sanitation. We see it in stormwater and infrastructure. My focus is simple: protect what works, improve what doesn't. That means supporting police and fire. It means making sure our budget reflects real long-term costs, not just today's expenses. It means creating housing opportunity in a way that respects neighborhoods. It means being honest with residents about what the city can afford and what we need to prioritize. I'm not running because I think I have all the answers. I'm running because I know how to ask practical questions, listen to people, study the details, and work towards solutions that make sense. My background as a contractor, as a volunteer firefighter, and as someone who grew up in this city, around city employees, gives me a grounded view on what local government should be focused on. Public safety, good jobs, and family values. I humbly ask for your vote, and I would be honored to serve District 4.
Let's give a big round of applause to all the candidates.